Badass Attitudes, licensed here, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Badass is an acronym, and each Wednesday, Kelly shares tips, tools, and information about how you can become licensed to be badass too. The bus to Badassville is scheduled to come here for you. Pack your stuff. Turn up your energy with Wednesday Wisdom. Here again is Kelly Orchard. What's on your badass soundtrack?
What's on my badass soundtrack? You'll want to find out? I've got a badass certification class scheduled over the next couple of months, and I'll share about the badass soundtrack and teach you how you can create your own personal soundtrack that proves to be a healthy tool to manage your mindset and mental health. More on that in a minute. This month of August, Wednesday Wisdom is covering the Be in Badass. So we are starting at the top. Be yourself. I'm Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier. Plus, we're saying no, and that's the theme in all this month in the Kelly Orchard Apple a Day podcast too, which is on the same platform that you're listening to this podcast right now. So if you just search Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day, you can find yourself daily nourishment for wisdom, success, and personal growth with my Apple a Day. And for the rest of August, we're focusing on things to say no to. But, for now, I wanted to share with you a little bit more about knowing yourself. The Be in Badass. Badass is an acronym. And that's how I structured this podcast for successful badassery, is to give you just a little bit of insight and a little bit of tidbits and a little bit of tools from my License to Be Badass program. And I'm going to share with you more about the program in just a little bit, but I kind of wanted to talk about, the be yourself part. How can you be yourself if you don't really know yourself? Now, I know there's a ton of coaching programs out there. In fact, some of the stuff that I'm seeing, I actually use a lot of the same materials. I've just put it into a really badass program, and I include music. But there's a lot of different things. You can figure out what your personality style is, what your learning style is, maybe what your communication style. And I ask you, what's your leadership style? Are you a leader in your business or your community or your home? And so in the Badass program, the License to Be Badass program, in the B, to learn to be yourself, I do give you some links to some of these tests that you can take in these analysis to discover, what your temperament is, what your personality type is, what your learning style is, and what your strengths are. I've taken all of them. And yes, they are very entertaining and somewhat scientifically accurate. But I don't feel that you need to be paying money for all of these tests to find out who you really are, when you can get a snapshot of kind of where you're at. And you can always be working on changing things. You can always improve. You can always grow. And that's why I tend to believe it's kind of a little bit of a junk science, because that's like saying that your horoscope is going to be accurate every single day. So why even bother trying to do something different with your life? Because if you're this sign and this is what the horoscope says you are like, then this is all you are ever going to be. Do you believe that? Or is, kind of sometimes it's a little subjective, or a little bit, I can make a shift. If I do this differently, that'll happen. Okay, I'll then take that with all of your other things, how you learn, how you lead, and everything, what your personality type is. I can be very outgoing, definitely. I can put myself out there. I can look like an extrovert. That's because I'm a natural performer. I was born to perform. But I'm actually also very introverted. So after a performance, I'm usually quite exhausted, and I need to go have some private, quiet time, to rest, reflect, or what have you. I have met other people who do performances, and they're ready to go and do the next thing after a performance. It doesn't really take that much out of them. They are actually fueled by it. Well, those are the true extroverts. I am what's called an ambivert. I'm extroverted with a lot of introverted tendencies. I do like my quiet, private time. And that's what kind of causes me to be a writer. I love to take that quiet time and put it to good use. So this is how I learned to discover who I am. I be myself. And so that's what I wanted to share with you on this Wednesday Wisdom about how to find who you are. Go ahead and search out all those free quizzes that they have online. They are out there for you readily. When you sign up for my License to Be Badass program, I actually have them in a link that I sent you in one of your first emails to kind of assess the who are you? And let's get a snapshot. You don't need to go through a 6-week program to find out what your personality is, and how to deal with other people who don't even know what their personality is because they didn't go through that program with you. What I teach you is a different way to think about things. But once you can understand what your learning style is, what your personality type is, and what your temperament is, and how you view the world, that changes everything. Because skills can be taught. Mindset has to be owned. So do you have a success mindset, or do you self-defeat before you even begin your day? It's time to take charge of your mental health. Now, earlier today, I posted on social media about a Carpenter song, and I was like, "What does this song have to do with today's Wednesday Wisdom?" Well, last week, I went out to have a lunch with my new badass branding strategist. And we were just chit-chatting, getting better acquainted on a more personal level. Everything's been pretty professional. But, it's like she wants to know me and I want to know her. And conversations were talking about music and whatnot. And I didn't even know how the Carpenters came into the conversation, honestly. But we did talk about it. And, basically it was talking about, that she's one of the greatest female vocalists that I've ever heard. I love Karen Carpenter. And so that set me on a track to discover some old music. I was just doing this last night. I have different, methods of self-care that I use, and music is definitely top. So, but this was music discovery. And I was like, what about these Carpenter songs? Because I don't really possess any. I don't own anything Carpenters. I have an album that I confiscated from my parents when I moved them down to live with me. It was one of the only albums that I decided to keep, and I don't know the title one. I don't know what the title is, but it's the one that folds out, and they're in a red convertible. So of course I have a red Mustang, and I love the Carpenters, so I took the album. It's like, hey, but that's the only reason why. But so I was researching and searching out some Carpenters' greatest hits, and of course I know all the songs. I've been in radio forever. I've heard them, but the Yesterday Once More really hit me as I was taken back to another childhood memory that I wasn't anticipating, and it was nice. And it was the old memories of when we lived in the San Fernando Valley. So even in my badass certification class, when I start telling the stories and I connect them with music and songs, this is a different one now. Now I've got a whole new one, but because I'm listening to the song, and I remember we had this big, huge stereo console, and I would sit in front of it, crisscross applesauce facing the stereo, and I would plug in the headphones in the jack, and I would put the headphones on my ears, and I would play music. I would play the records. Why would I do this? Well, we had a house full of people, and I'm pretty sure that Mom wanted me to keep the music low, and this was before I had a stereo in my room. Because after a while, my mom and dad, at one point, all four of us had our own stereo systems in our room. And I know today's society are like, well, whatever. But in those days, you didn't. You had a television in the family room and a stereo in the family room, and that was it. But we all had stereos in our room. But in this instance, I don't know, maybe 9-10 years old, I have this vivid memory of sitting with the headphones on my ear, and I didn't care who in the household was annoyed because I was learning the lyrics and the song and the vocals. I was actually singing, but it was probably off key, which is why they were annoyed with me, because I had the headphones on, and I wasn't really hearing any music. I was just hearing Karen Carpenter, and in my imagination, that's what I sounded like. And I hadn't listened to the song in years, and suddenly I was just transported. And what are the lyrics? Okay. When I was young, I listened to the radio, waiting for my favorite songs. When they played, I'd sing along. It made me smile. Those were such happy times, and not so long ago. How I wondered where they'd gone, and they're back again, just like a long-lost friend. All the songs I loved so well, every sha-la-la-la, every whoa-whoa-whoa still shines. Every shing-a-ling-a-ling that they're starting to sing's so fine. When they get to the part where he's breaking her heart, it can really make me cry. Just like before, it's yesterday once more. Looking back on how it was in years gone by and the good times that I had makes today seem rather sad. So much has changed. It was songs of love that I would sing to then, and I'd memorize each word. Those old melodies still sound so good to me as they melt the years away. Okay, I'm not going to finish the whole lyrics because it's basically the chorus, but I got chills as I heard it because, well, that's describing what a badass soundtrack is supposed to do. And here it was actually a song that I used to listen to. I had the whole song memorized. When I heard it last night for the first time in years, and then I look up the lyrics, I was singing along like I used to sing with the headphones on in front of the stereo at our house in the San Fernando Valley before my radio career even got off the ground, because I was probably only 9 or 10 years old. Anyway, so I posted about that on social media this morning, found the video of the song and teased it a little bit. Why does it mean so much to me? Well, because look at the lyrics and the memory that it stirred up for me. And it was all just about a conversation that I had with somebody else. And I wanted to encourage you, because listening to music and sampling music from your happy past, even your childhood when you're creating memories, will really help to shift your mindset and your mood. So a little bit of skills and drills are involved here. Normally I would put this on a Fruitful Friday, do some sampling of music over the weekend, but I could tell you that every day. But seriously, instead of when you get home today after work, at the end of the day, kids are in bed, business is closed up, whatever it is that you've got responsibility wise at the end of the, before the evening, before you go turn on your television or your devices to watch a program. That, yeah, I get it, mind-numbing, exciting, whatever, you've been looking forward to it, whatever it is. Before you do that, do yourself a favor and do some music sampling. Seriously. Just take this whole Carpenters concept, and even if you go listen to the Carpenters, I don't care. But you could go on YouTube and just search for a genre of music, that you used to listen to, and then just go explore. And then if you do that, I'd love to get an email from you. Just send me an email at kelly@kellyorchard.com and tell me all about it. Or hey, you can put comments in the podcast too, or on any of the social media. But I promise you, that is a skill that you will develop that will actually help you with your mindset. So the skills can be taught, but the mindset must be owned. And I got to tell you, I felt all really good lesson. I was glad that I kind of postponed putting off the Wednesday Wisdom podcast, because I came up with something brand new and fresh. And seems to be going to be the pattern for a while, because my parents, I still have a lot of navigating to do there. Anyway, so here's another thing. So for skills and drills, I do have an article for you today. What do leaders get wrong about employee well-being, and then how to get it right? This is an article that I was sent in Smart Brief. And it's an original. I'll put the link in the show notes, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a synopsis. Okay. So, many business leaders are not adequately addressing employee wellness because they're confused about it or misunderstand what employees really need and want. So here's 5 things that leaders fail to understand about employee well-being. Well-being isn't simply physical health. It's holistic wellness. That means the whole body. One size does not fit all. Control is more important than flexibility. Close supervision doesn't make remote work successful. Trust does. Employee well-being is attached through culture, not programs alone. So when you think about, employee well-being being at an all-time low, yes, it is. Nearly 83% of U.S. employees are saying that they feel emotionally drained from their work, and nearly 1 in 4 employees reporting experiences of severe signs of burnout, including reduced professional efficacy and cynicisms toward coworkers and their jobs. Yet participation in employer-provided wellness programs remains relatively low, with nearly half of employers surveyed. Now that doesn't surprise me. I've been in this field for quite some time, and I know it. I'll talk to the company's, president of HR or whatever it is that they're doing, and they'll look up their records and say, "Well, we already subscribe to this XYZ program, and we offer it to all of our programs, but none of them are participating, or portions. Say we offer it to them, but that we can't make them do it." Well, say, no, you can't make them do it, but you can have somebody to guide them through it, and to encourage them to do it. So, getting back to this, the article has a lot of great information about the well-being is not physical. Physical health is baseline, and mental health is the only other dimension of well-being. So there are social, professional, financial, and other aspects that contribute to whether or not your employee feels whole and healthy. We've got to understand all of those and support wellness in all areas. And one size does not fit all. Well-being means different things to different employees, so it's impossible to meet all of your workforce's needs in one single approach. Your resources are limited, so you can't address every individual need. So the more options and opportunities for professionalization you can offer, the better. I would love to be your in-house performance coach if you run a business. And you may not say, I don't have time, I don't have a staff employee for that. It can be on a consulting, method, not a full-time employee. I consult all the time. Employee well-being is achieved through culture, not programs alone. So just because you offer employees a range of health insurance plans or programs that include mental health benefits doesn't mean you're caring for their well-being. I've heard this over and over and over again when talking to people, specifically, I'll tell you, in the radio industry. That's a pretty stressful business. It is. You may think it's all fun and games, and it is only fun and games when you're actually being a performer. That's when it's fun. But other than that, it's pretty stressful business. And a lot of times these managers at the time had that same mindset and mentality that you probably have when you're running your business. Why they could just leave their personal problems at home, and if their personal problems get too much, then we have an employee assistance program that they can go and sign up for. We offer them that. Well, that's fine. But I can tell you that as a psychotherapist, when somebody comes to me through a company's EAP plan, they're pretty much already done and looking for a legitimate way to get paid time off. Wouldn't it be smarter to do some preventative maintenance so that doesn't happen? Culture is so important. You've got to cultivate a sense of inclusion, psychological safety, and hope, and ensure that your employees understand the purpose and the value of the work that they do. Now, that's really easy to do. I can help you for sure. All right, link to this will be in my show notes as we move along to information about the License to Be Badass program. I've launched it. There's a digital program with a group call coaching component as well, and it takes you through the entire Badass acronym. So let me be the light that guides you out of the dark. That's my strategy. That's my vision. I've been in the dark tunnel before. I lost my health, my work, my finances, my house, all at the same time. I'm kind of being there right now. I was also alone raising teenagers. I fought my way back. Wasn't easy to begin, but staying the course, despite obstacles and setbacks, is what made all the difference in the world. And now how can I help you? Because I'm being perfectly authentic about what's going on in my life. Now I'm a caregiver for both my aging parents. I'm a badass. I've got all the tools that I need. But I do admit one thing. Emotionally, I'm in over my head. So I'm asking for people to help me. And that's part of the Badass program too, is knowing when to need to be flexible and nimble and ask for help. This is not like any other coaching program. It's not cookie cutter. I created it myself with you in mind, a badass who knows it and could use some new tools in their toolbox to navigate these waters therapeutically, digging in to rediscover who you are, why you're a badass, and how to maintain a positive mindset to live a successfully badass life. Success mindset. Come on, people. Therapists and counselors are in short supply. So telling your staff or your loved ones to go see a therapist, it's going to be really hard for them to get an appointment. I am not kidding. All right. You need a badass plan right now. So what do you need? You might say, I'm not sure. I don't know. Well, that's okay. We can figure that out. What have you lost? How will you recover? How are you going to survive? What are you supposed to do now? Maybe you're angry, afraid, feeling helpless, negative, spiraling. Take charge of your mental health. The License to be Badass program is independent access. You have home access, self-paced, no obligations or pressure. It's not therapy, but it's very therapeutic. Your mental health should be your top priority today. After the year we've had, are you ready? I've got the toolkit for living your badass life. So many times I've been asked if my program is accessible online, and I'm pleased to say, yes, it is. The License to be Badass program is designed to give you just the right attitude adjustment that you need to grow and succeed, and then the tools required for perpetual growth to maintain your license to be your badass self. I pulled together therapeutic psychotherapy methods from cognitive behavioral therapy, which I'm certified in, solution-focused therapy, getting down to the bottom of it, narrative therapy, kind of what your story is, and then strategic methods like Tony Robbins does with Chloe Madonnas. I studied under her too, to build you a toolbox that will help you. Identify your strengths to grow your confidence. Identify your goals and cultivate positive measures to get there. Weed out what's not working in your life so you can fertilize and grow what is working. Prune back old behaviors and unrealistic expectations to make way for success. Then plant new seeds of personal and professional growth. Create an action plan for success. Focus on what's important right now and live intentionally. Learn your true purpose and passion. Gain clarity, confidence, and new skills, and then achieve your ultimate goal. Who wouldn't want that? Remember that BADASS is an acronym, and the License to be Badass program provides you with videos and worksheets that take you through each course individually. Why should you invest in yourself? Well, here's the deal. License to be Badass, flipping the format on the fear of failure, will teach, guide, and grow you, your family, and your team in a way that will flip their fears and feeling stuck. Increase fun and creativity, engage, and give you the renewed energy you need to grow and thrive. Being a badass self doesn't just happen overnight. It takes perpetual pruning and work. Throughout my program, you'll learn that small, persistent steps will allow you to achieve your goals securely rather than attempt the fast-track results that never last long for the long term. And then, upon completion of the entire License to be Badass program, you'll receive a custom diploma to display as a constant reminder that you are licensed to be badass. We are not slaves to our brain or our unhelpful thinking. Think of a car as a brain. It has certain functions. The driver is the mind. It controls the vehicle. So when you change your mind, you change your direction. This program is designed to cause you to practice self-reflection and create a sense of self-awareness with emotional and social intelligence. Now I want to help you continue on this journey by inviting you to join it. It's not like any other coaching program. I told you, it is not cookie cutter. I created it myself with tools that worked for me and ones that I picked up along the way during graduate school and in my private practice. Now, that's going to wrap it up for Wednesday Wisdom. I think on Friday, I'm going to cover a song that Bobby Ocean mentioned last week because it's helping me to find some peace, and I'll share that with you on Friday. But meanwhile, I would love to have you on my email list, so when you download the Badass Habits ebook, I'll also send you a License to be Badass sticker. So if you want to represent that you are licensed to be badass, well, you need to hop on the bus.
Grab your Badass Habits ebook. Get started on your badass journey. Go to licensed2bebadass.com. Friday again, we turn up the energy. Tune in and tune up. Be bold, be brave, be confident, be badass.